Morning, this is Kamera again. We're on day number 122, First Chronicles chapter 6. So there's only one chapter today. Yes, okay. So it's basically talking about the Levites, and they come from the lineage of Levi. You guys remember Levi? What I do remember of Levi, of course, he was one of the sons of Jacob / Israel. And what I do remember of him mainly is you guys remember when Jacob's only daughter was taken advantage of by Shechem in the land of Shechem? Well, he fell in love with Dinah, and he wanted to marry her after he, of course, defiled her. Yeah. So Abraham, Shechem went to his father, so he had to have Dinah for his wife. So the father goes to Abraham. They come up with this agreement: your sons marry our daughters, your son married our daughters, and our son marries your daughters. Yeah, Jacob made that agreement with the king of Shechem. Okay, so get this. Abraham, why do I keep saying Abraham? Jacob says, okay, well, I guess because it started with Abraham, your men had to be circumcised because we have a covenant. Remember, the children of Israel has a covenant with God, or Abraham's lineage have a covenant with God where the men has to be circumcised. And so Shechem, the land of Shechem, they took the king put that back to the men of Shechem. They agreed with the terms, told them that they had to be circumcised. They agreed with that. To that. And so the men got circumcised. Okay. This is the thing though, when the brothers heard what their father did, what happened to their sister, they were not happy about that. Not even a little bit. And so they went and they heard about the agreement and everything. Shechem men, they got circumcised. 3 days later, all sore. You guys ought to know where they were sore, why they were sore. Aiden! Shh. And so he says yes. And so 3 days later, sore. Two of Jacob's sons, Simeon and Levi, they go and slaughter all the men in Shechem. They slaughter all the men, just the two brothers, Levi and Simeon. Of course, Jacob wasn't with that. He was very disappointed, very hurt about that, and he was fearful of his life. But the whole point of it is Levi was one of them. And it was because they had defied their sister, disrespect their sister, and they didn't appreciate it. And if you think about it, and you really think about it, God didn't want them to marry outside of their own anyway. So he allowed it to happen, that reason. But that doesn't mean that Levi and Simeon were right. And that's where that's what I remember mostly about Levi. Well, fast forward in the wilderness. Would you believe that Moses, Aaron, and Miriam come from the tribe of Levi, the Levites? And remember when Moses had gone up and was gone for a while, and he, while he was gone, I hate that part where Aaron actually built this golden calf, told them to worship the calf. Oh my gosh, I hate that part. Oh, but anyway, when Moses came down, he was pretty upset. And one of the things he asked was, who's on the Lord's side? And then after he did that, he had the Levites, I believe it was the Levites, who killed a lot of the people who were worshiping the idols. And yeah, that's what I remember about another thing I remember about the Levites. Now, God made the Levites the people. God made the Levites the people who would serve him, their inheritance. Remember, there were 12 tribes of Israel, and they were going to the promised land. Every tribe gets a territory. They get land, okay? Not the Levites. The Levites' inheritance was not land. The Levites' inheritance was God. Their whole purpose was God. So you had Aaron. Now, Aaron's descendants, they are responsible for the sacrificial offerings. They are the priests Only Aaron's descendants could be priests, high priests. Okay, so the other Levites, of course, they serve the Lord. In this book here, we find that David assigned musicians. Yep, of the Levites. And yeah, we're reminded that Aaron's descendants are the ones who handled the sacrificial offerings. They were the ones who went to the temple and what have you to do the sacrificial offerings. And special service for the high priest. Also in this book talks about the distribution of towns. Remember, the children of Levites didn't have their own towns, but they had to live somewhere. They didn't have their own territories. So they were allotted certain towns. And those towns were pretty much the outer area with pasture lands. They had to have pasture lands. Think about it. They did all the sacrifice. So they're the one who got all the cows. They got the cattle, the sheep, and all that. Okay, so yeah, the livestock. And so they needed space. But also in certain locations there were safe houses. I said safe houses, places of sanctuary, so that when someone accidentally killed someone, they had a place to run, and they stayed there until the high priest died. But yeah, it's mainly, that's what this book covers. The Levites. We see where some of the priests came from. We see where Elkanah was located. Elkanah was the father of Samuel. Remember when his mother prayed for him? Yeah. And so we see where Samuel was in this, where his lineage comes from. Korah, Kohath, Asaph. We see where he came from. Remember, he's mentioned in the book of Psalms. When we get there, you see that. And yeah, so that's basically it. Just talking about the allotment of the properties, mainly the allotment of the properties and the musicians that were designated to the worship in the for the house of the Lord. And that is it. So you guys read it. I'm sure I didn't cover. I'm sure I missed some things, but that was yeah, day number. What does God want us to learn from this? Right there we go. Okay, day number 122. 1 Chronicles chapter 6. You guys have a God-filled blessed day.